Imagine a world where Captain Picard is evil, where the Autobots are Cybertronian devastators destroying the planet, and a world where Grimlock is king. Well, imagine no longer, because in August, IDW Publishing will be bringing these type of stories and more. So in this episode of Delve Live, we're going to discuss these stories. Plus, in Now Playing, this week we'll be now reading, and we'll be reading preview pages of crossovers you didn't know you needed until you read them. Delve Live starts now. Hello, and welcome to another live stream, another episode of Delve Live. I'm Tom Morris, and Delve, if you haven't seen it before, you're just joining us on our channels or our live stream, is a show where we celebrate everything that's awesome about pop culture. From video games to comic books to movies to toys to animation. If it's pop culture and it's fun and we enjoy it, we're definitely celebrating it. Who is IDW, you say? IDW Publishing is an award-winning publisher of comic books, graphic novels, art books, trade paperbacks, and tabletop games. They were founded in 1999 and is one of the top 4 publishers of comic books and graphic novels in the US, with an award-winning library of world-renowned licensed content original series. IDW titles have appeared on the New York Times bestseller list and have won 48 Eisner Awards. The Eisner Awards is the highest honor in comic book publishing. IDW Publishing has published some of the most successful and popular brands that you probably have heard of. Lucasfilm Star Wars, Hasbro with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony. Remember that for later. Viacom CBS Star Trek, Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sega with Sonic the Hedgehog, Disney classic characters, and they also publish from time to time Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Avengers, plus many more. They also have original best-selling series that have been put into a few shows. You might have heard of them. Joe Hill's and Gabriel Rodriguez's Lock and Key, Jonathan Mayberry's V-Wars, Stan Sakai's, I'm going to butcher this and I'm sorry, Yuzaki Yojimbo, I apologize, Walter Simonson's Ragnarok, B.O. Smith's Winona Earp, and others. The first comic book that I want to talk about that caught my eye is Star Trek The Mirror War. Anyone that is familiar with Star Trek has to be familiar with the Mirror Universe. And if not, let me give you a brief overview. There are dimensions and there are other multiverses, and a lot of comic books always do that. The Mirror Universe was way back in the original Star Trek, the original series. The Mirror Universe is literally a mirror reflection of the characters. If you recall, they had Spock with the goatee and they were evil. And instead of the Federation, it was the Terran Empire, I believe. Well, IDW in August is going to bring out a series called Star Trek Mirror War, and it's going to be a comic book event. Let me zoom in on this awesome, like I feel, this awesome cover. It's going to be a year-long event, and the byline reads about Captain Picard's dark reflection, thirst for power in Scott and David Tipton's Mirror Universe magnum opus. For decades, Jean-Luc Picard of Star Trek The Next Generation has represented an ideal of greatness to science fiction fandom, a character of intelligence, authority, and empathy. Beginning on Star Trek Day, September 8th, comic book and graphic novel publisher IDW invites readers to witness what the galaxy could be like at the mercy of a Captain Picard whose greatness is measured in cunning and cruelty, courtesy of an all-new event, Star Trek The Mirror War. Yeah, I don't think that's the Captain Picard that we all know and love. The Mirror War is definitely an evil reflection. It's going to start off in August with Star Trek The Mirror War Zero. Comic book writers Scott and David Tipton will delve deep into the lore of the Mirror Universe. The Mirror War Zero, illustrated by Carlos Nieto, this Zero issue features a new story of Mirror Picard as he's summoned to Earth to face the wrath of his Emperor, deftly weaving threads from past Mirror Universe tales in a way entertaining to newcomers and the initiated alike. Following September 0 launch, the series will continue to build year-long tension with issues 1 through 8 and 4 interspersed tie-in specials, each highlighting a different member of the Next Generation cast. The first spin-off one-shot slated for December will focus on Data. Once complete, the 13-part saga will chart Mirror Picard's path of conquest across all of the Mirror Universe, stoking the wrath of the Klingon-Cardassian alliance along the way. Some quote from the writers and authors: in the Mirror War, we'll be seeing what happens when Picard gets hold of information that can change the fortunes of the debilitated Terran Empire, says David Tipton. The Enterprise crew will find themselves in positions of potential power and wealth like never before. Star Trek The Mirror War #0 will be available with multiple cover variants for retailers and fans to enjoy. As you can see, I'm showing you a couple of the covers. This is the cover A variant. And anytime, I guess the best way you could tell a Mirror Universe character, if they don't have a beard and they do have a beard, that's the Mirror Universe. We last really got into the Mirror Universe if you watch Star Trek Discovery. And I really like that show. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I love mirror story arcs. I love this, like, okay, what if your favorite characters are evil? So that's something I'm looking forward to. I think I would definitely pick up a graphic novel on that and read that. I am a gigantic Transformers fan. Anyone that's watched this episode, Delve, has noticed that I grew up in the 80s. Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, all these properties that really is still alive today. And what's cool, as children of the 80s and 90s, they're now content creators. They're writing stories. They're producing movies. They are celebrating this whole line, and they're bringing various tales for fans to read. And so, what better way than talk about what's going on in August in Transformers? One of everyone's favorite Transformer. King Grimlock reigns supreme in August, heralding a huge month of IDW's Transformers comics. Information of it reads, a swords and sorcery Dinobot epic. IDW holds the line for sensational line of Transformers comic books. And they're going to rule this summer, so proclaims King Grimlock. Debuting in August, 2 new miniseries, Transformers King Grimlock and Transformers Shattered Glass, will throw lifelong Transformers fans and newcomers to the franchise. Here's some information about Transformers King Grimlock. Written by Steve Orlando, who has done Wonder Woman Justice League of America, with art by Augustin Padilla, Dungeons & Dragons Suicide Squad, and colors by Jeremy Colwell, King Grimlock is a 5-issue miniseries that casts one of the most iconic Transformers characters into a world of fantastical beasts and magical powers. In a savage world where the strong rule with sword and iron, the Dinobot Grimlock finds a new opportunity to prove he's the strongest there is. But as Grimlock and the human barbarian Arco will learn, sometimes brute strength isn't enough. King Grimlock is a sky-high dream come true to life. A story so big and wild, I wasn't sure if the Transformers universe could contain it, says Orlando. This is a first of its kind, science fantasy epic for fans new and old. Whether you follow the animation of the 80s, the modern shows of the 2000s, the big screen blockbusters, the decades of incredible comics, or if you've been intrigued by Grimlock action figures on the shelf, everyone's welcome. I know there's a few collectors out there that have Grimlock masterpiece figures. Me, Grimlock is king. When you see Grimlock with his little Transformer crown, now in the comic, he is going to be the king. By taking a beloved character like Grimlock and spotlighting him in an epic barbarian fantasy, Steve, Augustin, and Jeremy are crafting an iconic story that expands the understanding of who Grimlock is and what a Transformers story can be, says editor David Moretti. Plus, a 2-story tall robotic T-Rex battles dragons, magicians, and monsters, which is awesome. Let's take a look at some of this cover here, some of this cover art. This is a retailer incentive. Notice right here, I'm going to zoom in, King Grimlock. The king is written into the sword, which Grimlock always carries around. Definitely has a G1 feel. King Grimlock coming out in August, and that will be a fun issue miniseries to read. This is the cover A variant for issue number 2. Some really cool artwork. Yes, it's definitely nice. And that's what's so cool about comic books is people are able to draw, what's in their minds and imagine. You can imagine a different universe if you want. Transformers Shattered Glass. Everything you thought you knew about Cybertronian lore will be turned inside out with Transformers Shattered Glass, an all-new 5-issue miniseries written by Danny Lore, who has written James Bond, King in Black, Captain America, illustrated by fan-favorite Transformers artists Guido Guidi and Dan Kana, colored by John Paul Bove. What is Shattered Glass? Shattered Glass is a parallel universe where a war raged across the cosmos from Cybertron to Earth, a war between Decepticon laborers turned freedom fighters and the power-hungry autocrats. Many kilocycles after the blue planet was devastated and the Decepticons were brought to heel, the evil Autobot body scrapper named Blur hunts a new bounty, one who holds a piece of information that could reignite the war. And some of the quotes here in this article. To this day, I'm the nerd whose heart swells when they hear Optimus Prime in Starscream's voice, says Lore. As a writer, I love exploring characterization, what the core elements and what makes someone who and what they are. Creating these shattered glass versions of childhood favorites is like building the perfect combiner for me. What are the nuts and bolts that we can swap out while still making them recognizable? And I think that's pretty cool. Shattered Glass originally started, I think, as like a fan hobby exclusive. Our wonderful partners at Hasbro made a huge splash with their recent announcement of new Megatron and Blur action figures packaged with our Shattered Glass comics. And we're proud to bring that story content, and specifically 3 cover variants exclusively available to the comics retail channel, to the wide audience of monthly comic readers, says Assistant Editor Riley Farmer.